Hello guys, today I am going to explain about the topic Hdfs Daemons. So let's go into the topic now. Already in the previous video also I have given you the what is meant by HDFS name node, master node, data node, slave nodes. All these things we are having in the previous videos. Kindly find out in the description box. So let's go into the topic now. HDFS Daemons. What is meant by Daemons first of all? Daemons, it is nothing but a process here where how many types of daemons are there for the set of processes which has to run on the Hadoop means Hadoop is a framework in which is written in the Java. So all these processes are nothing but the Java processes here. What type of daemons are there in the Apache Hadoop means first one is the name node. We know what is meant by the name node. We can store only the data information or the metadata information in the name node. We know what is meant by the data node. Only we are going to store about the actual data in the data nodes. We can call it like the slave nodes. We can have the configuration, we can extend the files, and we can extend the slave nodes also if we want. Apart from that, we are having the secondary name nodes are there, resource managers are there, and node managers are there. So name node, secondary name node, and the resource managers works on the master system here, while the node manager and the data node works on the slave machines here, right? So we will see what are those name nodes and the data nodes. So name nodes completely it is going to work on the master system here, and the primary purpose of the name node is to manage all the metadata information here. And the metadata, it is nothing but the list of the files which are already stored in the HDFS. And as we know, the data is in the form of the blocks. How we are going to store our data in the form of the blocks in the Hadoop cluster? We are going to store the entire data here in the form of smaller blocks. And the data node on which or the location at which the block of the file is stored, it is mentioned in the metadata here. And all the information regarding the logs of the transactions happening in the Hadoop cluster will be stored in the metadata in the memory here. So we will see what is that features of the name nodes here. So it will never stores the data which is present in the file. We have already discussed that it will not store any sort of data here. Only the metadata information will be there. Apart from that, as the name node works on the master system it should have the good processing power and as well as good RAM capacity rather than the slave nodes here. And it will stores the information of the data nodes such as their block IDs and the number of blocks here. But we should know how to start the name node here. How to start this name node means this is one command where we are going to give it in our virtual box here, that is hadoop daemon.sh. Start name node means then automatically your name node will be started. And see, if you want to stop any name nodes means again I can use the stop name node option, then automatically the both the name nodes and the data nodes will be stopped. And next one is the data node. What about the data node here? Data node, it is completely works on the slave system here. And the name node always instructs the data node for storing my actual data here. How I can store it my actual data here? And the data node, it is a program that runs on the slave system. And the slave system works on the real read write request from the client. As the data is stored in the data node, they should possess the high memory to store the more data here. And how to start the data node? If you want to start the data node here, we are having the start data node option is there. If you want to stop the data node, we are having the stop data node option is there. And here secondary name node means this is completely used for the backup of the data. Secondary name node that is completely responsible for the backup of the data. In case suppose if any cluster fails or crashes, then how to get the backup of the data means your secondary name node, it is going to take hourly backup or checkpoints of the data. So we are having lot of data files will be there. It will take the hourly backups or else it is going to take for the checkpoints of the data, and it will store the data into the file name called as the fs image here. And this file gets transferred to a new system here. Where it is going to transfer here, a new metadata is assigned to that new system. For a new system, I am going to assign the new metadata information, and the new master is created with this metadata. And a new master is created with the metadata, and the cluster is made to run again correctly. And the cluster is made to run again correctly here. And major function of the secondary name node is it groups the edit logs and fs image from the name node together here, and it continuously reads the metadata from the RAM of the name node and writes into the hard disk here. As the name node keeps the track of the checkpoints in the Hadoop distributed file system, it is also known as the checkpoint nodes. We can call it like the checkpoint nodes also. So these are the major functionalities where it is going to group the edit logs and the FS images, file system images from the name node together here. And if you see this particular diagram, see here, this particular secondary name node is going to request for the edit logs in the regular interval. So the from time to time it is going to get all these edit log files, and that way I am going to dump it in the name node here. And from the name node again I am going to store it in the FS image files here. And this secondary name node, it is going to communicate with the update FS image with the edit log files, and then that information I am going to store it in the FS image, and from the FS image one copy of the updated FS image back to the name nodes will be done. And these are the few Hadoop daemons we are having for storing our data here, and these are the port numbers. Usually for the name nodes we are having these port numbers are there 570, and for the data node we are having 75 is there, and for the secondary name node we are having the 590 is there. How we can configure all these ports manually means with the help of the hdfs site.xml files, or else we need to configure by using these two files like mapreduce site.xml files. And a resource manager, if you see the resource manager, again this is called as the global master daemon here that works on the master system. And the resource manager manages the resource for the applications that are running in the Hadoop cluster. And the resource manager mainly consists of the two things here. One is the application manager and one is the scheduler here. So what is the role of the application manager means it is completely responsible for accepting the request from the clients, and it will makes, that means it is ready to provide all the resources on the slave nodes into the Hadoop cluster to host the application master here. And the scheduler, what about the scheduler here? Scheduler that is completely responsible for providing the resources for the applications in the Hadoop cluster and for monitoring these applications here. So how to start the resource manager here? Yarn daemon.sh start resource manager. If you type this command, automatically your resource manager will be started. You want to stop the resource manager, again I am having one more command like the stop yarn daemon.sh, and stop resource managers will be there. And the node managers are there, and these node managers works on the slave system, so that manages the memory resources within the node and the memory disk. And how to start the name node manager and how to stop the node managers here. And this is the resource manager port number 8088, and this is the node manager port number here. And that's all for today's guys. Hope you like this video.